Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of My Gaming Journal, where we examine both old and new video games in the format of a daily journal. For this episode, we examine Paper Mario and the Origami King, and see how long it took for me to beat it. Spoiler warning for those who've not played it. Please enjoy. Dear Journal, first off, I want to start off by saying that this was a nice surprise when it was first announced just only 2 months ago that we were getting a Paper Mario game so soon, because I've always been a fan of the franchise. I just love the look and the idea of the game. I know that the last couple have not been great, to put it mildly, but I was, needless to say, looking forward to playing this one. The game starts off with Mario and Luigi going to Peach's castle to celebrate a festival, the Origami Festival. Needless to say, if you played any Mario game, going to Peach's castle in the very beginning is not usually a good sign, because it usually involves Peach being kidnapped. And basically that is the case. Only this time, instead of being kidnapped, she's now mind-controlled by King Ali, the Origami King. And his whole shtick is he wants to fold the entire world. You go in and you're immediately separated from your brother, and you're trying to escape. Thankfully, you have some help with your new companion named Olivia, who is Ali's sister, and wants to save him, but certainly stop him from what he's doing. She is not necessarily a fighting companion, she's more of a Navi. Meanwhile, you find Bowser, where he is not only folded, but he has been stapled that way. Once Ali reveals himself, the kingdom is then transported to a mountain, and you are separated from Bowser and Luigi. This is the point of the game where you're actually in the middle of battles. It's a bit different than before, where it was just a normal turn-based battle system. Instead, it is a ring system. You first have to set all the pieces up to where you can line everyone in, and then you can attack them all at once. If you do that, you get a tiny little boost, and for the most part, I actually kind of enjoyed it. I didn't really mind that change. I know some people prefer the turn-based battle system, but to me, it's kind of the same concept. You know, at least with this way, you're doing more than just pressing X. You don't earn experience, which I know is another complaint that some people have, but you do win coins. Coins are important. You need to purchase items, and items have more of an impact in this game than other games. You also need coins to perform a certain act, and you can even use coins in battle to help you, whether it's to increase your time or have the toads help you out. And speaking of the toads, it is also your job to try and find as many toads as you can that have been folded. And when I say folded, I mean that it could literally be anything. Toad could be a bush, it could be an animal, it could be literally anything. You also learn the 1,000-fold arms technique, which can be used during certain boss battles, but is mostly used to unlock certain areas. The areas you will explore are basically, best way to describe them are Disney Woods, Kyoto, Japan, Agrabah, Pokemon Ocean, Sky Galaxy, and the final world, spoilers, Peach's Castle. Once you've been separated, it is your job to go to each area and destroy the streamers, currently being wrapped around Peach's Castle. In each area, you will also explore a temple. These temples actually remind me a lot of Zelda games, where they do include lots of puzzle solving, and I really enjoyed that part. And in that, you will also encounter new power after defeating the first boss, which are called Velumentals: Earth, Fire, Ice, and Water. And the boss battles are actually the best part of the game, in my opinion, because instead of lining up the ring to where you are able to attack it, you actually have to line up the ring as a path for you to get to the boss and attack it. You do have some allies for each area, And my personal favorite was Bob-omb. Was a Bowser minion at one point, but had lost his memory, which you'll learn more throughout the whole story. And then, unfortunately, it is at that point, there's a moment in the game where he has to sacrifice himself to save Olivia. Because Bob-ombs don't have a long lifespan, unfortunately. Now, you might be asking, where's Luigi? Well, you do reunite with him back at the castle early in the game, but it is his mission to try and find Peach's key in order to get to the castle. And each area, he finds a key. Only it's not the key he's looking for, but it's the key you need. And I actually found it kind of funny. And this is also the funniest game. I really enjoyed the humor. The script is just amazing. The script and the look of the game are certainly the biggest strengths of the game. Now, as far as the weakest point of the game, to me it's the pacing. Because especially early in the game, with things like the Woods or Shogun Studios, the pacing feels like an epic manga series or an anime where it takes dozens and dozens of episodes to actually get to the end. And I found myself only being able to play for about 2 to 3 hours at a time. But anyway, back to the story. So you finish the first two areas, Whispering Woods and Shogun Studios. You then get to the desert and you meet your new companion and you learn more about the Ancient Ones, which are basically human-sized toads. Safe to say that I'm halfway there. Dear Journal, so we finished the desert area along with destroying their streamer, and it's on to the Great Sea, where we have to go to each island and try and solve some puzzles. It's also in this part of the game you actually get to play some submarine gameplay, which I have to go back to boat gameplay. But that's besides the point. You have Captain T. Ode by your side, thankfully, and was able to finish this part of the game pretty quickly, actually. At this point in the game, you also learn more about Ollie and why he is that way. But anyway, we fly to the sky. It's very much a cult setting once you get there with the angel toads, and you see all of Bowser's minions basically having to pay off their debt with having a Bowser castle being rammed into their paradise setting. You also have Kamek join your party, who is definitely probably one of the most powerful allies you have in the game. And it's your job, along with him, to try and restore Bowser Jr., who has been folded up. And thankfully, long story short, you not only get him back to normal, you even restore his ink by playing a very funny but also kind of challenging game, Shy Guys Finish Last. After you played that game, you restored Bowser Jr. back to his normal self, and you storm the castle and try and rescue his daddy. Thankfully, you're not alone. You have an army. After defeating the main boss of the castle, you rescue Bowser, and it's time to operate his ship and rescue Peach. And you play some ship gameplay, launching literal bob-ombs to other paper planes that are attacking you, which is kind of dark when you think about that. Despite some great cinematic moments, it is not enough to save them, and they have to crash into a volcano that is located right below Peach's castle. And after running away for a little bit, you are finally at Peach's castle. And Luigi finally shows up with the key that he didn't know he already had to begin with. And you enter the Origami castle, and it's actually my favorite world, in all honesty. You finally reach Ollie. He tells you his master plan, which he wants to fold the 1,000 crane technique, which would grant him any wish. Supposed to be sent like a 7 Dragon Balls kind of thing. Fight the final boss in 3 phases. First phase is like a normal phase, only you have to beat all 4 of his Valumental areas, and boy did I struggle with the ice one. It is not fun. The second phase is like a sumo wrestling match. You have Bowser basically in a paper Godzilla type of look going against Ollie, which that was my personal favorite. And then you finally get to the third phase, which most of it is reaction commands. And for the most part, that one was pretty fun, though it took me a while to actually solve the puzzle. But finally, you beat him. We decided to use the 1,000 crane technique to basically undo everything, and we successfully do that. only it also kills Olivia. Oops. Overall, I really enjoyed the game for the most part. It's super fun, super funny, with my only big complaint is just the pacing and weird spikes in the difficulty. I do appreciate that they took a risk with the change in the gameplay. Could have done more with allies in battle, though the boss fights make up for that, which is why we're going to give this game a 77%. Now, tune in next time where we examine Ori and the Will of the Wisps. See you then.